A lot of people wish they were famous. They dream of being singers, movie stars, YouTube vloggers, or people who hold the world record for peeling bananas with their ears. They dream that one day magazines and the internet will be full of stories about who their new boyfriend is, or what kind of cheese they like, or how they lost loads of weight by only eating soil. They dream that everywhere they go, people will recognize them. Photographers snapping away as they leave the house, fans mobbing them as they ride their bike, total strangers begging them for selfies as they try to use a public toilet. It sounds like a nightmare to me. Rosie Taylor, in my class, aka the worst person who has ever lived ever, is totally desperate for fame. Last Christmas, her dad paid for an aeroplane to fly around the whole country, pulling the following message behind it. Follow at Rosie Taylor. She is a far twinklier and more beautiful person than you or anyone else you know. Hashtag Queen of Celebrities. But the message was so long and flappy that during takeoff it got caught in the wheels of the plane and ripped in half. As a result, people looked up into the sky that day and saw an aeroplane flying past, pulling a tattered banner behind it that read, Follow at Rosie Taylor. She is a farty. She got 1 million followers within just a few hours. Unfortunately, she was so upset by all the rude messages and comments she received that she had to close down all her social media accounts and start again. You can probably guess the kinds of things that people sent to her, so I won't repeat all of them here. My favourite was, Are you friends with Donald Trump? But that's the problem with fame. No matter how hard you try, you can't really control what you're famous for. One of my 2 friends, Darren Gamble, got on the national news last year after he broke into a hospital and tried to steal a dead person. Yes, that's correct, a dead person. Luckily, the dead person was actually just asleep in his wheelchair, and he woke up screaming before Gamble could drive him off in a stolen ambulance. If that's the kind of thing you have to do to be famous, then it's not for me. In any case, I hate the thought of people knowing who I am. All I've ever wanted is to have a quiet life and to be left alone. Unfortunately, what I want and what I get are very rarely the same thing. My name's Roman Garstang, and my final week of school was ruined by a famous person. Oh, and some evil spaghetti hoops, but I'll tell you about them later. End of term. It was my last year in Year 6. My plan was to leave primary school without any fuss. Clear my tray, give Mrs. McDonald that manky 3-year-old box of chocolates from the back of the cupboard that nobody will eat because the label's in Russian, go home. Have a few donuts to celebrate. Set fire to my uniform in the back garden while dancing around the flames in my pants. You know, all the usual stuff. No drama, no stress, no excitement. But it didn't work out like that. I know what you're thinking. Why didn't I want to fuss? Why am I so bothered about having a quiet life? Leaving primary school is a big deal. Any normal person would want to celebrate and have a party. I must be about as much fun to be around as a sack of diarrhea. I don't care if people think I'm boring. I want my life to be boring. I've had enough excitement recently. In the last few months, I've shaved a guinea pig, caused a flock of old people to riot, been weed on inside a giant floating plastic ball, had a flying badger fall in love with me, and been in a stolen car as it dragged an exploded caravan through a field with a naked man hanging off the back. See, if you were me, you'd want a boring life too. In fact, there was only one thing I was looking forward to during the whole of my last week at school.